Asian indie horror games are made too far in between, and most of them are hits while some of them do tend to miss. Although we love Asian-inspired horror stories here at GameMate, does the Bathhouse have what it takes to scare the bejeezus out of us? And does the story better translate in a video game format than it would in a movie? Keep watching this video to find out. We start off as a company worker named Maina Akimura, who grows tired of her job in the city and longs for an escape through the countryside by working at a local bathhouse. Although it doesn't pay much, it does provide free living quarters, allowing you, Maina, to start off a new life in the countryside. And you notice that strange occurrences start happening, and it's up to you to find out the mysteries behind this bathhouse. The game's characters are bizarre to say the least. Their faces are darkened and unrecognizable. This may be part of the game's design, but it could also be part of the story. It's up to you to find out. One of the advantages of a video game to a movie theater is that it really puts you in the shoes of the character you're controlling, which in turn adds to the immersiveness of the experience. You can tell that the developer put in extra effort in the fine-tuning of the details of the bathhouse, where every item inside of it looked very realistic. The bathhouse has a very eerie vibe to it, like actually being inside of an old-school 80s or 90s horror movie, which in turn really adds to the creepiness of the story. However, the opposite can be said of the gameplay. The controls are very clunky. It has this weird perspective like every person is smaller than usual, or that you're just very tall for a normal person. The minigames are mildly entertaining at the most. There are times where you have to clean the bathroom with a mop or with a cleaning solution. It has some quirky gameplay to it, but it's mostly just work instead of play. Other times, you have to tend to the needs of the customers where you have to point out at where items are located to get them. But because the game doesn't have a highlight mechanic, most of the time it's just a guessing game of point and click, and it gets pretty annoying very quickly. Most of the time, we found ourselves lost on what to do next because the game has no clear direction on where to go or how to do the next task. The game could use a bit more attention in this department because not all gamers have the patience for it. It's a shame because the game might have a good horror story to it, but it's just bogged down by sloppy gameplay mechanics. We're all for games that don't hold your hand, but because of how this game was built, it just ends up becoming really tedious and frustrating. We can't say much for the music and the sound effects either. The music is generic and uninspired, like the developers downloaded a bunch of background noises online and just slapped it into the game. It does add to the creepy vibe of the place, but that's just only because the environment is already creepy in the first place and that our brain just fills in the gaps. But don't be fooled. This is still a horror game and there are jump scares from time to time, but it's nothing you can't handle. It's obvious that the bathhouse is more story focused than the usual gameplay driven experience. And we can forgive the developer for not concentrating on the gameplay, but because of that, the story ultimately suffers for it in the end. The Bathhouse could have had the potential to be a classic horror-themed video game, but it's watered down by underdeveloped gameplay and just plain bad video game mechanics. Even if you do finish this game, chances are it'll be confusing for most of the gamers to understand it, and it would take the help of a horror expert to figure out and explain some of the story bits to you to even have just an inkling of clarity. So to summarize, good story and bad gameplay. Have you guys played the Bathhouse? What are your thoughts about it? What are your favorite horror games and what other games do you want us to cover? Let us know in the comments down below. Till then, this is GameMate Information Station, signing off.